questions off of that. Have in your research into how schools are handling this, is there a particular example of a school that you are like, this is a good example, every other school should follow in their footsteps? And then going off of that, voters do have a stake in this, and we're entering 2024, an election year. So how important is education and the culture war and the handling of anti-Semitism and all the other topics we talked about? How is that going to be important in the year that we're facing?
Yeah, well, University of Chicago has sort of been the gold standard for protecting freedom of speech and related matters on campus. I actually, when I was a state legislator, sponsored a resolution in the California legislature citing, in fact, reprinting the University of Chicago's statement on free expression as a standard for our universities. That passed our legislature unanimously, by the way, back in 2017. And so I think that's the standard that many would point to. But I think that also, we can look back at even an institution like Harvard in past eras, led the way in higher education and in sort of the modern version of a liberal arts education. And so in some sense, it's just about returning to founding principles. Now, as far as the political elements of this go, I think that absolutely it's something that is on voters' minds, is not only what's happening in our universities, but what's happening throughout K through 12. We saw in Virginia when Glenn Youngkin was elected, a wave election there that was really based primarily on issues of education. I think that folks saw during the whole COVID era, the COVID shutdowns, the school shutdowns that have robbed so many young people of so many opportunities and led to harms that are going to be with us to generations to come. Many parents saw there how thoroughly corrupted our educational institutions have become. And so I think that absolutely, and I'm a former high school teacher. I've been on the education committee now in the House of Representatives. I was the vice chair of the education committee in the California State Assembly. So it's an issue that I am focused on first and foremost. And I think that there is a great amount of dissatisfaction with what's happening throughout the entire K-12 through higher education landscape in this country. And so I think that some of the issues that we've been talking about, returning to principles of excellence, having high standards of academic rigor, these are things that apply not just to higher education, but for all students. And I think that, we've seen in the last few years, a parents' movement really emerge. And I think that's something that's only going to continue to grow.